Okay, now once we have standardized our cost, we've standardized our hours, we've standardized our usage, we've standardized our price, all those elements, then we can figure out what our total variance is by simply taking what I actually spent, what my actual cost was, and comparing that to what I planned. So my actual cost, I would find that by taking my actual price per unit times my actual quantity of input used. So my actual price times my actual quantity. So that's AP times AQ. My planned cost would be my standard price per unit times the standard quantity of input used for the actual output. So planned cost would be standard price times standard quantity. My total variance then would be the difference between the two. So this is what I actually spent. This is the dollars and cents I actually spent on my manufacturing. And then my planned cost would be what I thought I would spend. So actual versus planned. So my total budget variance is the difference between the two. That means that since my actual cost is actual price and times actual quantity, and my planned cost is standard price times standard quantity, I could show my total budget variance in a form like this: AP times AQ minus SP times SQ would give me my total variance. So then what I can do after I actually manufacture, I can find what my total budget variance is based on multiplying these out, what my actual price, actual quantity minus standard price and standard quantity. The other thing this does is this gives me, it shows me whether I had a positive variance or a negative variance. And in variance analysis, we call it favorable and unfavorable. So if we spent more money or used more product than we should have, that would be generally an unfavorable variance. Whenever actual prices or actual usage are greater than the standards. A favorable variance would be the opposite, when we are using either less with the quantity, less of the quantity standard than what we planned on, or our pricing was lower than our standard pricing was. And that would mean we had a favorable overall variance. And so what we're going to do is we will look at this as on a whole scale, a holistic scale, to find the total variance, but then we're going to break these down individually further. For example, we have a usage variance. A usage variance would be my actual quantity minus my standard quantity times my standard price. So this would show me whether I used how much I thought I was going to use, or if I used more or less. So this is just saying, did I use more than I anticipated, or did I use less than I anticipated? And notice that's all we're doing. You're subtracting the actual quantity minus the standard quantity, and multiplying that by the standard price. My price variance, I'm looking for the difference in the other part of this equation, and that is that we're taking our actual price minus our standard price and multiplying that by our actual quantity. So that shows me my price variance. So what these two things do is they narrow down further where this variance came from. So this gives me the total amount of my total budget variance, but then individually I can say, well, was it a part of my usage or was it a part of my price that caused this either favorable or unfavorable variance? Even more so, we're going to break this down into the three categories, the three product cost categories. So we're going to look at direct materials, we're going to look at direct labor, and we're going to look at overhead. And we're going to look at variances in each one, and we're going to look at both a usage and a price variance for direct materials and direct labor. And overhead, we'll do the same thing. We'll look at our applied overhead versus our actual overhead, and compare those variances. And we'll go through those individually. But we're going to have two variances for each one of these. So for direct materials, we're going to have what's called a materials usage variance. And we'll also have a materials price variance. And for direct labor, we'll have a labor rate variance, which is similar to a price variance because my labor rate would be the hourly wages that I pay, and then a labor efficiency efficiency variance, which will be, did I only use the number of hours that I anticipated using based on my standards that I set in the first place. And we'll look at each one of these on their own in a future video, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this total budget variance and we're going to break it down into all different types of areas so that we can more accurately say, okay, where did we go wrong? Where was our budget wrong? Did we spend too much? Was it the price we paid for materials, or was it the amount we used? Was it the rate that we estimated for our labor, or was it the number of hours used? And so on. So it just gives us more detail about where we actually went wrong and where the variance actually happened within this budget variance.